Hey, how's it going today? Today I'm on my alt account and I'm going to give a quick review of my current clan boss team in a couple formats. I'm going to be working on improving this over time. I'm really going to show two different setups. One setup I'm going to show is just for the benefit of one of my clan members. I'm going to show a team with Doompriest as the lead, and we'll start with that. So this is an example of like I guess a mid-game type setup, but it's a real straightforward way to run a counterattack clan boss team, and hopefully this should give a perspective on the gearing that you might want to do, and also on the setup and speed order. This has been covered in a lot of formats, but this example hopefully should reinforce some of these. Starting, my debuffer is Rhazin. He's awesome for free to play. At this point in time, I have him geared just under 4,000 defense, about 50% crit rate, 77% crit damage. I have him running at 172, which is the slowest, along with my actual counterattack champ. One strategy that you could follow, and this setup does not follow it, would be to actually have one of your defense like Rhazin actually run slower than him, so he is not taking that last counter. I may eventually switch to that here as I try to improve my alt team setup. I pretty much got this team to a 2-key nightmare, and then just have let it go and just gathered stuff from the dailies and run the 2-key. But now I've fallen well out of gold 4 in this team. The gear is just seriously lacking. I'm going to really work on it and see if I can't get it into an ultimate nightmare setup that's maybe like a 4-key ultimate nightmare setup. I think is pretty reasonable to achieve with this team that I have. So we have Rhazin here. Again, 172 speed. Speed is the number one priority, is getting the right speed. Then it's the debuff accuracy, which 200, maybe 220 will be good for Nightmare. This is plenty for Ultimate Nightmare, so it's a good setup in that regard. And then for a defense-based champ, I love to have 4,000 plus defense. This is as low as I would be willing to go almost. I mean, so, and 38, 39, I guess as long as you're above 3,500, it's probably okay for Nightmare, but I'd go as high as, the sky's the limit here. Although at some point you also want to focus on getting that crit rate to 100%. My next champ, since it's just in order, is Doompriest. I just threw her together. She's set up as my fastest champion, so she is always going to go first and debuff whatever junk is on there. Again, the stats on her aren't amazing. I'd like to see her at 3,500, but 3,000 to 3,500 is realistic. Again, her speed has to be faster than any of your other champs. So if you're going 171 to 180, then you want her speed to be, probably toward the upper part of that. Again, she benefits from crit rate, crit damage, and attack, but you need the speed and you need the defense because that's what's going to keep her alive. My counterattack champ is Skullcrusher. I have him at 46,000 health. I have him about 4,000 defense. I really need to improve this, frankly. His speed, again, it's the slowest at 172. His crit rate and crit damage could be improved, frankly. One thing I will say, if you look at the masteries I'm using, I am letting him counterattack potentially when he takes damage. That's really good for Skullcrusher because he doesn't have any debuffs that you care about, to be honest, in Clan Boss. And when he does take this damage, having him counterattack is a good way to have him heal himself up if he's in life steal gear. You can see I did the same thing for Doompriest. Again, she doesn't have any debuffs I care about, so there's no reason not to have um, these two abilities. So she'll potentially sneak in an extra attack and do extra damage. Um, I did not do that with Rhazin. With Rhazin right now, giving the gear setup, I want the extra chance of his debuff kicking in, which would be removing the clan boss's buffs, and I want his defense down and weakened to last 3 turns if possible, so it's a priority there. You may notice I did not take things that increase the turn meter. That's a no-no. You can't have this. Really, I shouldn't have this. This is actually something I ought not have on him. I just realized that he has this. That's a no-no too. If I clean this team up, that's something I'm actually going to get rid of, because this is another one you don't want when you're speed tuning a team. With Rhazin, I've gone down so that he has Giant Slayer. Since he's a 3-hit A1, that's the way to go. Now my defense down is Tayrel. Right now I have Tayrel again. I gave him a chance to extend the buff. His masteries aren't filled out. I'll have to actually finish that out, because for him the extra chance to land the attack down is also worthwhile. And then again he goes down into War Master. His gear is, again, I've got room to improve this for sure. He's again at 4,000 defense. His accuracy is okay for Nightmare. I really want it higher for Ultimate Nightmare. He's faster. He's running 174 speed, so he is faster than the other 2 champs, and he's got room to improve his crit rate and crit damage for sure. Now, as far as the attackers I have a handful of these. Honestly, this guy isn't the guy I normally use, so if you look at his stats, you're going to find that they're not as good as they could be. He is in lifesteal, but he really needs to improve. His defense is low. For an attacker, and he has really low base defense, so it's hard to get too high, but I'd want him at least 3,000 defense. But notice his speed. That's important. His speed is faster than the counterattacker and slower than the person who removes the stun. His debuff accuracy actually is poor. I wouldn't run him in Ultimate Nightmare with this low a debuff accuracy. It would not go well. But this is borderline adequate for Nightmare, and you'll see that the damage I do with this is still going to be decent. And again, his masteries, better chance of landing and longer chance, and then he goes down also in the War Master tree. Now the champ I usually use, just as a comparison, is Frozen Banshee, and her stats are a little better. She runs at 3,000 defense. I have her a little higher crit. The speed's the same, and the accuracy is higher, high enough that it'll work in Ultimate Nightmare, although it's not amazing. I'll run both of these champs when I run this, provided it's still a void, because I'd like to just run it where I can compare it. So I'm going to go ahead and run this team setup right now. So I will toss Doompriest in, and I will toss Occult Brawler. Where are you, Occult Brawler? Wow, I'm missing him somehow. Oh, there he is. And we will go to work. Now, you can almost run this on auto, but not quite. I'd like to make sure that Rhazin gets in the process of putting his defense down on. So I'll make sure he starts with his A2, and then I will get the Stonewall up. Now this, you can see, that means every counterattack should have a defense down and weaken, which is huge. That's a big damage buff, especially as you start to gear later on with more crit damage. At this point I can hit auto. You can see the order is pretty well guaranteed. You're going to see every turn Doompriest will go first. So we'll let them do their counterattack. So now Doompriest goes, then you see Tayrel and OB, then Rhazin, and then the counterattack champ. You see he took the stun. Doompriest will cleanse it immediately, and that frees him up to get his attack in, which gives him a chance to heal, and also gives him a chance to land the attack down. Let's just follow this rotation now until it's done. I'm going to walk away for a second, and I'll come back when it's just about done, and I'll show you the results. Okay, you can see we came out of here. This did just under 20 million. I think the best I've seen out of this team is about 21 or 22 million. So it definitely sits right in that 2 key range. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to edit the team. Now I'm going to remove OB and I'm going to run it with Frozen Banshee. The output on this setup is about 23 to 28 million is what I've typically seen. So we're going to go ahead and just rerun the same team setup. And I will say one thing about this. OB and Frozen Banshee are pretty similar in their damage output capacity. Frozen Banshee with a counterattack team might be just a little bit better, but a big reason for the damage differences is OB on my team has very poor accuracy, and he also has real low defense. So I think the way it's set up on my team right now, Frozen Banshee is just better geared, and gear makes a huge difference in the damage output. So again, I'm going to let this run here, and this is, you're going to see the exact same setup again. You start with Doompriest, then you're going to get Tayrel, then you're going to get Frozen Banshee, then you're going to get Rhazin, and then you're going to get Skullcrusher. And as long as you don't have things that increase the turn meter, it will follow this order perpetually, which is huge. So this pretty much guarantees that you'll always have the counterattack up, you'll always get the stun cleansed, and you'll always get the defense down and weaken up at the right time to guarantee the most use out of it. So again, I'm going to let it run, and I'll get back to you in a second. Okay, we're just about at the end here. You can see that the damage output was a little bit better, owing, I think, largely to Frozen Banshee's better stats. But another thing to consider, too, is in that first run, it is a little bit possible that there was some bad RNG because a lot of times OB teams that I've had will do 22, 23 million. So it is less. It's not substantially less. Anyway, hopefully this gives you an idea of some of the capabilities of a team like this, and and it's a pretty simple nightmare team. With the gear I've got here, this is about a 15 million per key at best. Ultimate nightmare key. The absolute best I've done with it is about 18 million, and it can get as low as 12 or 11 million. I think I need to have some way to keep Skullcrusher alive longer in order to make this successful. Additionally, I've used Doompriest, and it's almost always on the lower end. I actually, on my team, although he's a pain in the butt because he's not real easy to auto with, I do have Steel Skull, and I've had better luck using him because I can use his defense up to keep Skullcrusher alive longer. In any case, this is again just a picture of a team you can do pretty easily, though. It does use Doompriest as the cleanser and Skullcrusher as the counterattack, and hopefully gives you a picture of the speeds, the accuracy, and some of the things you need to do. Alright, have a great day.